welcome to the next edition of the Owen podcast series, and we have our first repeat guest, which is quite an honor in and of itself. We have
It's an honor.
Van Tucker, who is heading up our Project Be Bold project here in the Owen School of Management, and we're going to kind of catch up on what's happened since the last time we talked about it, kind of go back and take a bigger picture view, talk about all the different stakeholders, all the different sources of input, get a better idea of what that output's going to be, and then finish up with talking a little bit more about how the students can continue to have a voice in this process. So Van, I'll let you kind of kick us off, and who are the stakeholders in a project like this?
Well, obviously there are many stakeholders. There are some obvious ones: faculty, students, staff, alums. Those are some of the more obvious. There are community stakeholders, not just the Nashville community or the state of Tennessee or even the region, but nationally and internationally there are stakeholders. So we've tried to give everyone an opportunity to provide input. Not everyone's provided it in the same way or at the same pace, but the sessions have gone well. If you haven't been in the Fishbowl, I hope you'll go to the Fishbowl and take a look at a lot of the ideas. Some you may find very simple, like we need better food in the cafe. Others are a little more complicated, like an interdisciplinary approach to a healthcare MBA. So, but all of those are important. Food in the 810 Cafe is important. Absolutely. It's part of student life, and student life is very important. We had our first student ideation yesterday, and I would say it was definitely quality over quantity. And we hope to be able to have more next week, recognizing that everybody's busy coming back their first week.
Tuesday, 1 p.m. Let's get that plug in there
right.
real quick.
Pizza and an opportunity to win an iPad and a drawing.
Absolutely.
So we have lots of incentives. Our hope is to take all of that information from all the stakeholders. The ideas have fallen into three categories. Academics, obviously that's a pillar of any educational institution. The culture of our school, and then finally the facilities. We have a needs-based grid using those three categories and each of the stakeholders and their particular needs. Student needs are very different from faculty needs, are very different from alum needs. But at the end of the day, what we're hoping is to have an academic profile, if you will, that helps drive the culture of the school, that in turn helps drive the delivery.
So let's talk about this in the larger context. This is obviously, it's being driven from Dean Bradford's office. Mm-hmm. You've been brought in to kind of be the agent that helps make this whole thing happen. Mm-hmm. Where does this fit? Is this an annual thing that we're going to do year to year, or is this a big kind of once in a while thing that's going to drive long-term 10-year plan, and talk a little bit about that?
I'm going to sound like a lawyer. Yes, it is.
Yes, all those things, all of the above. Good answer.
But that's the truth. Is this historic? Is it epic? Yes, it is. Not just at Owen. Business school, it's no secret. Business schools are in a crisis. They're in chaos. Are they valuable? I happen to think that they're very valuable. I happen to think of students as an undervalued stock. It's the school's responsibility to add value, and so that the market, recruiters, companies will see that value and reward you for that value, which means that this is a short and a long-term proposition.
Yes.
I think this particular initiative is epic. I think it's historic. And I think we are in the process of really sinking a stake in the ground about what we want this school to look like in 25 years or 50 years.
Absolutely. And I guess when I ask that about the long term, I'm kind of, it's a thinly veiled way of asking, could there be some capital investments that come out of this that are inherently long term?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think without question. I think that there are also, along the way, lots of little steps, lots of little things that will, over time, add up
Absolutely.
To very big things.
Lots of ways to score runs.
Absolutely,
We got
that's
our
right.
singles and our doubles, and we're going to have our home runs
That's
as
absolutely
well.
right.
So what's the, you've kind of talked about this. The timeline's changed a little bit since the last time we spoke. We're still kind of in an ideation process right now. Vetting along the way, but it sounds like it's, new ideas are still welcome to be brought forth. So what does the timeline look like from this point forward?
Well, that's a good question. The timeline is, the student ideation this week is our last ideation session.
Okay.
Dean Bradford has issued some suggestions, some requests rather, to the faculty for some academic planning and academic visioning that will happen over the next few weeks. In that same period of time, the dean will be working with a very small group to take all of this input that we've received thus far and organizing it a little better, vetting through some of those ideas a little bit, doing some modeling, a little due diligence on some cost and feasibility of some of those projects. We hope to have something in place that's tangible that we can share with people by the first of the year.
Okay.
Which is a pretty quick process,
Yeah, it is a quick
considering
turnaround.
that we're looking at really where the school wants to be in 25 years as well as next year.
Very good. Okay, so let's get back. So like you said, this Tuesday, which is days away right now, is the last ideation session for students.
Right.
And we obviously want to get as much student input as we can.
Absolutely.
What can students do, or I guess I should say, what should they be thinking about before they go to this session, and then after that session, what can a student really do if they're walking through the hallway and inspiration strikes?
Oh, I love that visual. I think a couple of things for the session on Tuesday. I think coming to the session with an open mind, to think about those three categories that I mentioned: academics, culture, and delivery, and to really think of some innovations in that area. There's been a lot of discussion around technology and the delivery of academic information. I'd love to hear more about that. Culturally, what the building needs are. There's been a lot of discussion about showers and personal space, and I don't want people to think that that's a silly idea or something
Right.
that's not important. Student life is very important to your success,
Absolutely.
and it's very important to your ability to focus. So you don't have to come with a big grand program design for managerial economics.
Yeah.
But just come with an open mind and some great ideas, and we'll talk through them and vet them.
And I would say also, and you can kind of agree or disagree, it would be more productive not to come so much with an axe to grind, but more with maybe a potential solution in place. So take that thinking to the next level, and don't just come in and use it as a...
I'm perfectly fine with people coming to grind an axe, but I want it to be sharp by the time they leave.
Well put.
So if they want to come in and complain about a certain issue, this would certainly be a great place to do it. But bring a solution. I think everyone's heard me speak enough to know that I believe that innovation lies in all of our hands. I've asked the question many times, who's in charge of innovation at Owen? And there is only one answer. I've gotten a lot of different answers, but there is only one answer, and that is you, me, the dean, the faculty, the alums, the recruiters. We're all responsible for innovation. I love the idea of anyone, students or any other stakeholder, becoming inspired and then having a place to take that inspiration. I would say you have a great idea, grab a faculty member, grab another student, grab the dean. He's a very creative man and loves hearing that kind of feedback. Faculty and the staff of the school want to nurture a culture that allows that kind of activity and, in fact, rewards that kind of activity.
Very good. Well, Van, thank you so much for taking the time again
Thank you.
to join us on the Owen podcast.
Thanks.
And hopefully we'll have you on a third time later on in the process to hear how it's going, maybe even after the first of the new year, to hear did we hit that deadline, and more importantly, what were the fruits of all this labor.
Fantastic.
Very good. Thank you so much, and thank you very much for watching.